Hello off-road buddies. In today's video, we witness a three-wheeling Lexus GX conquer it all. We discover super fast internet at the top of the world. And finally, I stare straight into the face of one of my greatest fears. Our goal for the day was to make it through Pioneertown, Burns Canyon Road, Tip Top Mountain, Baldwin Lake, and Big Bear. I began with a scenic drive along the 60 and 10 freeways towards Cabazon and beyond. Once I got to Beaumont, I saw the smoke from the Apple fire filling the skies to my left. As I passed the Desert Hills Premium Outlets and Morongo Casino, that smoke was still within sight. The haze of that smoke even traversed through the familiar sights of the giant windmills. It was just a tad warm that day. Access to Palm Springs via California State Route 111 was just around the corner. But rather than head towards Palm Springs, I headed northbound on SR 62, the 29 Palms Highway. I eventually took a left turn on Pioneertown Road to head towards Pioneertown. Once I arrived at Pioneertown, I parked at the lot adjacent to Pappy and Harriet's. Pappy and Harriet's is a barbecue restaurant that was established in 1982 after Harriet and her husband Pappy purchased this location, formerly known as the Cantina, from Harriet's mother. The ash and the smell of the smoke from the apple fire had made its way all the way to Pioneertown. Pappy and Harriet's at Pioneertown. Hey. We're at Pappy and Harriet's. They're open for business, plenty of outdoor seating. I met up with two of our off-road buddies, Alan and Eric. We had a total of just 3 vehicles, my Dodge Ram, Alan's Lexus GX, and Eric's Toyota 4Runner. After we aired down, took a restroom break, and picked up some food, we headed towards Burns Canyon Road. There was still a short section of paved road before we would arrive upon the dirt road. This dirt road started off with roughly 7 miles of sparse residential areas. Wow, these are huge! Which eventually led us through a densely packed forest of Joshua trees and other yucca plants. Certain parts of Burns Canyon Road would probably have been a bit too challenging for a 2-wheel drive, lower clearance vehicle. A higher clearance, rear-wheel drive, or 4-wheel drive truck or SUV should be able to handle this road just fine. This was probably the roughest and narrowest non-optional part of Burns Canyon Road. I did switch to 4-low at this spot. Looking back, I'm pretty sure I could have just left the truck in 2 high. Any more? Those with more capable vehicles were free to travel through the terrain at higher speeds. They're so fast. This was the one and only official offshoot at Burns Canyon Road. I saw your front left wheel in the air.
Just remember to turn right when you come up.
The rut near the top of this offshoot was surprisingly much worse than we expected. Despite having just upgraded the factory rear LSD to a true track LSD, my truck didn't make it up this offshoot. I blame it on the front still having an open differential. Or was I just not trying hard enough? It wasn't easy, but the GX did make it up with the help of its 4-wheel drive 8-track traction control system, some 3-wheeling action, and a confident driver, not just once, but twice. Well, the GX did receive a bit of damage to some plastic parts around its rear bumper. Not far after the offshoot, we took a challenging climb up to Tip Top Mountain. Despite my fear of heights, I thought it would be a great idea to take that climb. On the way up, we encountered some rough, rocky terrain along a super narrow shelf road. Low-range 4-wheel drive was needed for most of the climb up. The terrain was difficult enough where the 4Runner had a tough time getting through a couple spots. Okay, back up a little bit. Okay, same thing, you're gonna come up the same way and turn left and just carry a little bit more speed. Excellent. Parts of the road were so narrow for my truck that I had to scrape past tree branches on my left just to keep the right tires off the edge of the cliff. With the air conditioning being set to cold on full blast, I was still sweating all the way up. After approximately 40 minutes of climbing, we finally arrived at the top of Tip Top Mountain. We were still able to see the smoke from the apple fire. At an elevation of over 7,500 feet, we had a roughly 270-degree view of the entire valley below us. Even though this elevation wasn't really that high, we still imagined we were standing at the top of the world. What an awesome view this was. Totally worth the drive, at least for myself. Not only was the view great, but we also discovered that we had great cell phone coverage. We ran Google speed tests for AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. This was my screenshot from AT&T. T-Mobile was actually getting over 100 megabit per second download speeds. As we began our descent down Tip Top Mountain, I thought it was going to be easier since I had already driven over the path. It turned out not to be the case. Going downhill on a rocky, narrow shelf road had its own challenges. The terrain seemed new to me again. Somewhere along the way, the Carly front differential guard took a decent hit across a rock that was embedded in the ground. The differential guard saved me once again. I'm not sure why, but it took only 22 minutes to get back to where we started from Burns Canyon Road. And the timing couldn't have been better. Just as we reached the bottom, these two Jeeps were just about to begin their ascent. We were now on the last leg of our route. This was where Burns Canyon Road smoothed out and really opened up. I was still a bit stressed out from the drive up and down Tip Top Mountain. To relieve that stress, I put the truck in too high and had some fun at moderate speeds on sections where visibility was not an issue. After the trail ended near Baldwin Lake, we drove for a bit on pavement before coming across a nice place to air back up.
Air up over here?
Eric discovered that the 4Runner was leaking coolant. At the time, we weren't sure what had caused this leak. We just knew that it must have just happened during the last leg back there. The leak was not too bad, so we decided to just keep the coolant overflow tank topped off for the drive back. We headed into the town of Big Bear and stopped by Vaughn's for a restroom break and some distilled water.
Wow, it's back here.
Oh my god, wow.
After topping off the coolant, we headed back along SR 38. We made a quick stop to check coolant levels on the 4Runner. We then continued our journey along SR 38. After the long drive back, I checked suspension and other mechanical components underneath the truck. Everything seemed to be in order and ready for our next trip. I hope you enjoyed the ride along. We'll see you next time.